When something goes wrong at work, our first instinct is to ask, who's to blame? But that's not quite the right question, is it? The real question is, who's responsible? So today, we're going to dig into that and figure out where the buck really stops when it comes to workplace safety. Okay, let's paint a picture. An accident happens on your worksite. But here's the twist. It involves a contractor, not one of your direct employees. All of a sudden, those clear lines of responsibility, they get pretty blurry, right? So who's legally and ethically on the hook here? That is the exact puzzle we're going to solve today. All right, to make sense of all this, we need a simple way to look at it. And honestly, the best way I've found to think about workplace safety is like a pyramid. A pyramid of responsibility built from the very bottom right up to the very top. So let's start at the foundation, the base of this pyramid. That is the employer. And I don't just mean a manager or a supervisor. I mean the legal entity, the company itself. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, labor laws are pretty much unanimous on this one point. The employer has the ultimate non-negotiable duty to protect the health and safety of their people. Right, so you've got the whole organization making up the structure of the pyramid, but the ultimate accountability? That sits right at the very, very top. It makes sense when you think about it, right? Every decision made at that peak trickles all the way down, affecting everyone on the front line. Okay, so let's climb our way up to the very top of that pyramid. Because this is where the magic happens. It's where a company's entire safety culture is born, and it all starts with senior leadership. You see, a director's job is so much more than just signing checks. They set the entire tone for the company. They're the ones who decide if safety is a real, genuine priority, or if it's just a slogan on a poster. How? By putting their money where their mouth is, allocating resources, hiring the right people, and making sure every single legal box is ticked. They literally design the entire system. And this quote, man, it just nails it, doesn't it? If safety isn't the leadership's priority, it will be no one's priority. It's so true. If the people at the top don't really truly care, that message echoes through the whole organization. It basically gives everyone else permission to let it slide. And that commitment, it has to be visible. We're not talking about another memo or an all-staff email that everyone just deletes. No, it's about a director walking onto a site and, without even thinking, putting on their hard hat and safety glasses. When people see the top brass actually walking the talk, the message is loud and clear. Safety is a big deal around here for everyone. All right, so we've been up at the strategic peak. Now let's come down a level to the folks who have to make it all happen day in and day out, the middle managers and supervisors. These are the people on the front line, right? Their whole job is to take that big picture vision from the leaders and make it real for their teams. They're the ones who have to translate strategy into actual practice. And that means they are directly on the hook for the safety of every single task and every single person in their department. Okay, so the internal structure seems pretty clear, right? Everyone has their role, but what happens when you throw a curveball into the mix? What happens when you bring in an outsider, like a contractor? Yeah, this is where those nice, clean lines of responsibility can start to get, well, pretty messy. I mean, the challenge becomes super obvious when you just look at them side by side. Your own team, they know the site like the back of their hand, they know the rules, they know where the hidden dangers are. Contractors, they're walking in cold. They have less knowledge, they get less direct supervision, and bam, you've just introduced a whole new layer of risk into your workplace. And this right here is the absolute key. You can't just hire a contractor, cross your fingers, and hope for the best. You can't just assume safety is their problem now. As the client, it is in your own best interest to manage them closely. Why? Simple. To protect their team, to protect your team, and to protect your entire operation from grinding to a halt. So the big question is, how do you actually manage this risk? How do you do it right? Well, it really boils down to a super clear 3-step plan. This works for any contractor who sets foot on your property. It's super simple, really. It breaks down into 3 logical stages. First, you select the right contractor for the job. Second, you plan the work out with them before a single tool is lifted. And finally, you monitor the work while it's actually happening. You get these 3 things right, and you are going to slash your risk. Okay, let's talk about step 1, selection. This is all about doing your homework before you hire anyone. You got to look at their paperwork, sure, things like their safety policy, their accident history, but it's more than that. You need to check their real-world readiness. Are their people properly trained? Do they actually have the right gear for the job? I'm telling you, if you skip this step, you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure before the project even kicks off.
All right, so you've picked your contractor. Now comes step 2, planning. And the most important thing to remember here is that planning is a two-way street. It's not a dictatorship. I mean, think about hiring an electrician to fix something in your house. You tell them, hey, this light fixture is acting up. And they'd ask you, okay, where's the circuit breaker? See? It's a back and forth. You're exchanging critical information. And that's the exact same principle we need on a big work site.
So, what does that two-way street actually look like? Well, the client, that's you, has to share all the details about your site-specific hazards. Maybe there are overhead power lines or certain chemicals in use. Then, the contractor has to share what risks their work is going to bring onto the site, like fumes from welding or the dangers of operating a crane. This kind of open communication is absolutely critical. It's how you prevent those nasty, dangerous surprises. And that brings us to the final step, step 3, monitor. Look, once the work starts, your job isn't done, not by a long shot. You, the client, have to actively watch what's going on, and you absolutely have the right and the responsibility to stop the job right then and there if you see anything unsafe happening. And here's a pro tip for you. A really great technique is to take that work method statement, the one you both agreed on back in the planning stage, and use it as a checklist. You can literally walk the site with it and audit their performance in real time. Are they doing what they said they would do? Are they sticking to the plan? It's a fantastic, structured way to make sure everyone is on the same page and staying safe. So when you boil it all down, responsibility for safety isn't just one person's job. It's layered. It starts at the very top with leadership, and it extends all the way down to every single person on that site. And yes, that includes contractors. Which kind of leaves us with one final question for you to think about. In your own workplace, is safety a real, living, shared responsibility? Or is it just a dusty rule book sitting on a shelf somewhere? Something to think about.